Hey, Tom here, Flip Anything. Uh, Decided to do a little live something this morning, Sunday. God, what happened? Anyways, sorry, getting situated here. So, I am. People ask me that kind of stuff too. I have quite a few businesses. I have a real successful. I invented some things. And actually, that's a business I started after I'd made a substantial amount of wealth. Hey, good morning, Marcella. Uh, already made a substantial amount of wealth as a real estate investor. Okay, reflection's bugging me, so bear with me a sec. Uh, uh, Anyways, and but before that, when I started. I just try to tell people it's less important what you do for a job as it is what you do outside of the job. And so I know, I've got daughters in college, and then I've got two boys that are 14, and I've got a daughter getting out of college here in about probably a year, and she'll be a full-blown CPA, and she'll be doing an internship somewhere. And that's not for me. I didn't finish high school. I got a GED and I dropped out. And I got another friend of mine. His kids just went to college and is going back and he got 4 Fs. And it's like, why even waste your time? If you get 4 Fs, ain't nothing gonna happen. You're not gonna get a career. You're not gonna get anything out of college, I don't think. But so what I want to really get at is, I see guys, I hire people. I have, really talented software guys. I've got apps I'm making. I've got, and that's a real expensive deal. If you're paying retail, you're paying 150 an hour. If you're paying wholesale, you're paying $60 an hour for guys that are programmers and, Angular, React and, Android, iOS developers of all sorts. And I think it's good to have some general skills, like 25 years ago for me. I thought, yeah, everybody ought to, be a carpenter a little bit, because if you're a carpenter, at least you're handy. You can, if you can read a tape measure, if you're in the trades, you can at least be helpful to, hey Jeff, good morning. You can be helpful to a lot of people. And, and I know I got a lot of young guys watching here. That could be, just so you know, for me, that could be 35 and under. But, I see the frustration. I see people wanting to study to be engineers, and by the time they learn what they learn when they get out, there's something new they got to learn. And I'm talking about software engineers. There's some things that probably stay mostly the same. I'm actually not enough of an engineer, but I hire electrical engineers, software engineers, mechanical engineers, because I have those types of products that I produce through one of my companies. And then I invest in apps because I do. I want to hit something big. I want to make a lot of money. In that industry. I just really do. I'm kind of fascinated by it, and I've actually had some success in some things that I've done. But tell me who's out there. Has anybody got a career under their belt? Is there something? Is there something that anybody's doing right now? Yeah. And I would never suggest anybody drop out. Okay, drop out of school. I had a different situation. I was being raised just by my dad, and a great dad. Totally happy. I had a great upbringing. There you go. So Jeff, you're flipping vending machines. I dig it. That's great. But see, okay, yeah, Chaz, carpenter, like me. Yeah, same. And drop out of the video, buddy. Yeah. Anyways, what I'm saying is, you want to, I tell anybody, you got to be good at it. It's good to get a trade under your belt. For me, it was carpentry. And so what was good about that is I was a finished carpenter, and I could do a lot of different things. I could go into, in other words, it's kind of like even somebody. Believe me, I don't love service industry. I've owned a sports bar, but one thing about somebody that is a good waiter or a good waitress is they can make money anywhere. They could pick up and leave, pack, and they could go to another city and start waiting tables, and they'd know what they were doing. So they kind of have a trade, albeit maybe it doesn't take a lot of time to get that, and I don't want to downplay it because I'm sure there's, tricks of it. I know I served one table in my life, and it was the restaurant that I owned, and I remember I took, 3 Dr. Peppers and 4 Cokes to a table. When I got there, I'm looking at this tray of 5-10 drinks, and I don't know what's what. So there's definitely something to it. But what I want to say is, you have to. It's what you do with the money you make. It's what you do with the spare time that you have. It doesn't matter if you're, working for peanuts and saving every cent. I had a guy that rented for me for 12 years, and one day he said, "Hey Tom, I'm moving out," and he said, "I just paid cash for a gas station and convenience store," but he had worked and saved every cent. I don't think he made more than $10 an hour. But he worked probably 20 hours a day. He worked so hard. But he saved every cent. And at the end of that 12 years or whatever it was, 14 years he'd been saving, he went and bought his dream, which was a convenience store and gas station. And I'd never seen him since. And, I know guys that similarly, have started, hot dog stand. And that, it just led to something else. It's taking action and doing something is great, but once you get into whatever field you're in, you'll start to find where the money is. You know what I mean? You could open a hot dog stand and realize, hey, there's more money in a different area, or maybe you realize from a vendor there's another kind of opportunity. If you haven't seen the movie, it's about Ray Kroc, McDonald's. Great movie. The guy was just a milkshake blender salesman. But in the course of that business, he found other opportunities, and he recognized because he'd been to so many hamburger shacks where he's selling these shake machines, all of a sudden he knew, kind of like what we talk about, he knew a bargain when he saw it. And he found these guys that created McDonald's, and he goes, man, these guys know what they're doing. And he ultimately, Founder. Thank you, Maurice. If the movie was called Founder, great movie. And whether you like Ray Kroc or not, the bottom line is he dove into a business and doing what he knew how to do, which at the time was just selling milkshake machines. But it led to something else, and that's kind of how it always is. You get on a path, and it'll lead to somewhere else. And that's why I try to tell anybody, because sometimes we set the bar too high, right? You try to, you're waiting for the perfect situation before you dive in and buy something. And so what happens is you keep waiting for the perfect situation, that you visualize as like maybe a house or a duplex, and that's all you think about. And then maybe that perfect situation doesn't come up. But if you broadened a little bit on looking at a little more things, you'd find a deal when you'd more quickly recognize the deal when you see it. But on careers, because I struggle with this, I tell my daughter, she's in her 5th year of college now, so obviously she's going to finish. She's going to be able to be a CPA, probably $60,000 to $100,000 a year. Not a bad job, coming out of school, make that kind of money. But even then, she still is going to have to. She's still going to have to make money with the money that she makes. She's going to have, because that's not enough. It's not enough in the way things are today. And so, I just would urge you, if there's a business you're interested in, dig in, look at it. I mean, I remember I went to work for a backhoe guy, and and man, I love running a backhoe. I own one, actually. You can barely see it. I've got one way back here behind me, and I bought that probably 20 years ago for $35,000. And I drag it out whenever I have some dirt work to do on one of my projects. I'll grab my own backhoe, but it doesn't matter because But I know a guy that got into the dirt. He got into the dirt. In other words, he moved dirt around for a living, right? And I remember I'd see this guy. I started my cabinet shop, and I just thought, oh man, he was a pretty boy. Guy was just always super fit, and his truck's like brand new, beautifully painted, chrome wheels. And I'm like, oh, I'm practical. I just get a truck, make sure it runs well, gets to the job. Well, that guy didn't know what he was doing. He was dedicated in doing the dirt work, but he smelled the money in cutting tracks. And there's guys that get so rich in dirt work, earth moving and stuff. And you can start with a backhoe on that, and then I have a friend of mine. He made over $750,000 last year, and he's a one-man show. And when he buys a bobcat or an excavator, not a bobcat, I don't think he has a bobcat. He buys much bigger stuff, excavators and like a D10 or whatever the big earth movers are. That's the kind of stuff he's buying now, and he's paying cash for these machines. But you get into dirt work, and you bid the job, and now maybe you make $400 or $500 an hour, depending on how you bid it. And that's the best thing is when you can get paid by the job, right? And so, anyways, I just want to tell you, it's really not the career that's going to make you rich. It's what you do with the money that you make. And I'm a firm believer in get a trade under your belt. Like, some of us, college was never an option. Folks didn't talk about it, didn't have the budget to put us through college, just never got discussed. So what happens? You get out of school, sometimes you go to work for your dad, maybe the company he works at, or you just, like me, you just go through the yellow pages or the papers and look for who's hiring, and you'll take whatever job's available, and even that's fine, because even though it kind of sounds like roulette, just picking a job, but you take any job, and you'll learn something. And sales is a fantastic way to make money. And what I like about sales for people, I had a guy that worked for me as a bartender, and I would see this guy. He was young, he was about 25 years old. He drank like John Wayne, in the movies. It just wasn't good. But he's a great salesman, great personable guy. And I told him, I said, man, look, what you're doing, getting people to buy another drink here at the bar, it's really no different than getting people to buy a piece of property from you or buy a product from you. You can make those little engines, Jeff. Yeah, that's right. And so by doing these things on the side, and like I was telling him, I said, and the problem with what I had about the bartender is, the perk of being a bartender is you can drink. You can drink. Even though you're not supposed to if you work for me, but people do. And they drink up their friends and things like that goes on. But it's not a great environment for growth, and because you've got the temptation of something that actually slows you down, meaning alcohol. But you know what? That could lead to being a distributor of alcohol. Liquor stores or that sort of thing. Not my kind of thing. Don't really want to sit in a store waiting for people to come in. That just doesn't suit me well. But whatever it is you do and whatever it is you like, just expand on it. But look for the money. I would just say, no matter what you're doing right now, whoever you work for, you might be able to kind of smell the money. There's things in different businesses. Like I know a guy that worked at a paint and body shop, and he figured out the money was in distribution of the paints, and that's what he did. He had two very big companies, and he distributed paint to paint shops. And really, that's kind of the cool thing, is if you can get a piece of everybody else's action, right? Or if you can get in like what we do, what I do, and what I want you guys to do, or what I'm trying to share with you, what I do is, you get in between what somebody has and what somebody wants. You want to be the middleman, right? We want to flip stuff. So you want to tie up what somebody has for sale and get in between somebody that wants to buy it. And that's a great place to be. Anyways, I just want to have this quick chat. I don't know if anybody's got any ideas or things they want to throw out right now. So you got Garrett talking about the flip anything concept. I flipped how? Yeah, well, what else? Yeah, well, yeah, so Garrett, regarding what he's asking, what other good products are there to flip? I'll tell you right now, anything used, okay? Anything used and valuable. Just think about it. Anything used and anything valuable. Because anything that is valuable, that's used, there's a great chance that it's going to go down in value. you're going to be able to pick it up cheaply, and you can turn it for a profit. A perfect example, and so think about this, because this is everywhere in the USA. They have these lifts. You'll see these lifts that take materials up on top of roofs, and you'll see job sites where there's all kinds of equipment like that. Well, a lot of times what happens is these companies that come in, they come in from out of state, and they set up camp to work that job for 6 months, and then at the end of that job, I got a wasp bother me. At the end of that job, they have all this equipment to get rid of, and that's what they do. They'll sell it, and they'll sell it for peanuts because they're done. The job's done. They've made their money, and they just want to get out of there. And in fact, a buddy of mine, I think he paid $25,000. He got about probably $400,000 worth of equipment. But on the used market, it was worth about $200,000. But still, he got it very cheap, between $25,000 and $50,000. Well, he just bought it all. And then, he sold a couple of pieces and got all of his money back just off 2 sales. And now everything else after that has just been gravy. And so I am a big believer in just buy expensive used. That's simple. The other thing is, depending on what you're doing, is look at expensive used and small, right? Because not all of us have the ability to pull out a forklift that can pick up 5 tons. I have machines that are very heavy, and I have a forklift, but even some of my forklifts aren't big enough to lift some of the machines I have. But wheeling and dealing stuff that's real heavy, you got to factor in shipping and moving. Have a tractor come and move things around. So I don't like that, but I like small. I like small and valuable. So think about that, small and valuable. So maybe you don't even have a hobby that picks up on anything that's small and valuable, but maybe start considering. I don't know, what, like a remote control car or guns, or there's all kinds of things. But actually, guns are something. You could probably study guns and find out what's rare. And like Chaz, buy and sell land for sure, man. That's what I do. But I'm just saying, for those people, I'm trying to get to what people can do that's maybe non-real estate. And I mean, there's guys that know diamonds. Imagine, I wish I knew diamonds. I really do. I wish I knew them, because I could hold $1 million inventory in a shoebox, and that would be wonderful. If I could put all my inventory in a shoebox instead of having to rent 10,000 square feet of building to hold $1 million worth of inventory, of bigger stuff. You know what I mean? So really, just look at profitability and small stuff. Now, I'm a big fan, like Chaz. I mean, I buy and sell land, and I love land. I love buying land. I made a couple $1 million on a piece I sold, just 2 years ago, and now that's more shopping centers and stuff that brings in enough money I could pay cash for a house every few months now, just from that one investment. But before you get to that level, there's just a million levels in between that you can find that are maybe at your comfort level. But the main thing is just start flipping. Let's see, I bought a bunch of board games for $6, sold for 100 on eBay the next day. Yeah, and it's cool. So the relative on that is, you made almost 20 times your money, right? You paid 5% on something you sold, compared to what you paid for. You only paid 5% of what it was worth. That's amazing. Okay, that's amazing. Now, if you can do that 1,000 times, at that level, that's a hell of a lot of money. It'd be $100,000 or $94,000, right? So, and like Jeff's talking about creating monthly payments. And now, creating monthly payments, and Chaz might be doing this. I'm not sure. Chaz is flipped some land. Well, I used to flip a lot of land. I'd go buy lots for $5-10 grand, sell them for $20, $25, $35,000, and I would get more than my money down. So if I put $5 grand down to buy it, I'd get at least $5,000-10,000 down. That'd put money in my pocket, pay an agent if there was an agent involved, put a little cash in my pocket, but I'd have all my money back. But now I'd have a note coming in for $100 or $200 a month, and I just kept doing that over and over and over. I probably went through 40 lots in about a year, and maybe 100 lots over a longer term. Yeah. So Chaz, he says he's got 3 lots I assume you sold those. You're saying you sold those, Chaz, on terms, and now you got $200 a month coming in on each. Now, that's a great story. I mean, like I said, it's a milestone when you start getting money coming in at all. Yes, okay. So Chaz got about $600 a month coming in now on 3 lots. I mean, that's awesome. That's awesome. Congratulations, Chaz. That's the stuff that I did that I just kept getting more excited on. And pretty soon, 200 was 500 a month, and pretty soon 500 a month became 1,000 a month, and pretty soon it was 2,000 a month. And then more. And pretty soon one note's enough to make a living. To pay all the bills, and that's amazing. So, and when I was doing it, I was getting notes for 9-10%. Big. Really, really hefty interest rate by today's standards, but at the time it was normal about 25 years ago. So, anyways, the thing is, there's a lot of different ways to make money, and I've got, I don't know, probably more than 100 tenants in business just around me here locally, and all different. Not some have the same type of companies. I have collection agencies. I have guys that make teeth. I've got barber shop. I've got nuclear physicists. I've had roofers. I've got people that do things I couldn't even understand, high-tech electronics. But I got a bunch of those, a lot of different high-tech people that I'm not exactly sure what they do, but it involves circuit board, and they pay the rent on time. That's what I really know. And but it's fascinating. There's so many ways to make money. So there's no shortage of that. And so I think, like I say, I really I'm big on my real estate, of course, but also I've done really well in business. And with business, I've always, I just kind of look for where the money is. And or even when I've gotten a job or where I've worked, I try to, I kind of look for what I can do best. I'm real good at math. So, I was always a good cut man and as a carpenter, or I could do accounting, I could do bidding, and, I could pretty quickly, not accounting, I'm not a great accountant, I can do it, but I don't love it. Okay, so how many streams of income do I have? Well, I mean, I'll give you a rough idea without defining everything. I have money that comes in on real estate, obviously, off rents, right? I have money that comes in from business, primarily, and that kind of covers most of it right there, right? But I've had money come in from carrying notes. I don't think I'm carrying any paper right now. I might have a couple notes, but I've had tens of thousands of dollars a month coming in just in notes from when I bought a property, resold it, and then people were making a payment to me. But and I don't mind carrying notes. I do it, but eventually the notes get paid off, and then you're paid off, and you just got cash. So I've had income streams from notes, and meaning land I've sold, carrying a note. I've loaned money and had money paid back to me in the form of interest, so I got interest income coming that way. And then, of course, rental income, and then, of course, the income on flipping, which, buy something and sell it, and then boom, so it's not like an income stream, but it kind of is, because it's something I do somewhat regularly, is I buy and resell property. So I have chunks of money coming in, which is, when you've been doing it for 35 years, it seems kind of regular. And then, but like I say, from business, I manufacture, I sell. I have some stuff that sells retail too, but it's all business related. But but when I was a kid, I used to just buy and sell candy. I'd buy a box of suckers, and I'd go down. Yeah, I kind of wrote a book a long time ago, but it ended up getting me into a little bit of a mess. But and that was called Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. And I may re-release that book. But it just ended up getting me in more trouble than it was worth. But I wrote that back in like '92. But it's much more lucrative just to be an investor than to do what I'm doing. Obviously, I don't make any money on you guys. I'm not trying to. And I'll tell you, when I had a course and book back in '92, and I'll tell you what I didn't like is people want to buy my course, and they want to pay for it between like 3 credit cards. Like they wanted to put 60 on one card, 80 on another, and I'm like, you know what? Here, just have it. Just give it to them. It's just cutting it too thin for me, to be honest. And that's why I really dislike these gurus that I see that are going around saying, hey, come to my free seminar, and then they're shaking these people down, trying to get another $1,200 to $50,000 per couple, playing on their hopes and dreams. Where you know, listen, I would never. I mean, I'm sure I could give somebody $1,000 worth of advice, and it'd be well worth it. I've already done it here, okay? But I could never give you $50,000 worth of advice. I'm sorry. I mean, it's everything I'm giving you is worth probably that too. It'll be worth more than that, but it's only worth that if you do something with it. And if I'm not going to go in and lure people into a seminar, and I'm actually a really good salesman, but I'm not interested in trying to talk people out of their savings. Can't do it. I saw my own father get swindled out of $20,000. You know, so you know, that's why I think a lot of you like me. I know is because, yes, I'm trying to plead with you and show you and demonstrate to you how to make money, but I'm not selling you a book. I'm not selling you a course, you know, and it's because I'm just trying to share. I'm trying to really just share it with you. I'm just trying to share it with you because, you know, I'm a believer in it, and you know, I'm trying to lay the groundwork for my boys. My boys, you know, they watch these videos too. And they'll watch them again later on when they get older, and hopefully they'll do much better, you know, and then they'll really take it in. They're only 14 now, so, but all I can tell you is you got to be very wary of trusting people that encourage you to do something that puts money in their pocket. In other words, if I'm saying, yeah, buy my super deluxe course for 12 grand, you know what? I'm going to scrutinize somebody that says that. And I don't sell a course, you know. But, because really, if you told me you had 12 grand, I would tell you to simply watch my videos and take that 12 grand and go invest it. Invest it wisely and turn it into 25 or 50 or 100, and then just keep, you know, rinse and repeat. So what else? Anybody else? So I answered Maurice. I think I answered both your questions, right? But actually, I've been thinking about a book here again lately. I have been thinking about a book. It would be a complete rewrite of whatever I did before anyways, because I've done so much more since then. And, you know, one of the things, if you guys haven't seen my video, making you know, made over $1 million by renting a property that wasn't even mine. It's one I rented and then I subletted it back out. And so there's those kinds of opportunities too. And a lot of people, I know some people are doing it. I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but there's some people that got this Airbnb stuff, and they actually will rent somebody's house for $5 grand a month, and then they'll rent it for $2,000 or $3,000 a week to somebody else through the Airbnb system. And so, you know, they're making $7-8 grand a month off somebody else's deal. But, you know, they're taking a risk. They're renting it for the $5 grand, and maybe the guy that's getting the $5 grand, he's happy with that. But I assume they have the right to sublet, because that's kind of what you need to do. So anyways, you know, it's Sunday morning. I'm going to go play with my boys, maybe take a swim, do some things, and hang out with them. That's kind of my big deal. Now, I talk about reading books, right? Here's a book I bought last night, right here. It is Parenting Teens. And I actually have a great relationship with my kids, but I do get a little frustrated because I want to do more. I'm trying to find things to do with my boys, and I'm not much of a golfer, but I'm taking it up. If you were going to put the lake house up on Airbnb, you know, Tony's asked if am I going to put my lake house up on Airbnb. You know what? I think it's going to get tiled here beginning Wednesday. Well, I'll give you guys a quick view of that next week, because it'll all be tiled. And guess what? When it's all tiled, it's done. And I've got the 70s furniture sitting downstairs, ready to move into place. And then, you know, maybe some kayaks and some toys for on the water. I'll buy those. And so I plan on playing with it for a while first. And then I may just, you know, just kind of let the place be available for friends and family to use, you know. as a perk. I have employees, I have employees too. I can let my employees, use it too as a perk. And so I plan on utilizing it that way. I don't know, to be honest, even renting it for a few $100s a night, and have somebody go change the sheets or whatever, it doesn't appeal to me. I don't really want to be a one-room hotel, to be honest. I'm not saying it's not worthwhile. It's not really worthwhile to me for my time because I got so much going on, you know what I mean? That's relative to what I'm doing, it would be probably more of a problem than an asset to me to do that right now. But anyhow, what I was getting at is, you like you're watching YouTube to get some information for me. Look, I do the same thing. This is a book, Parenting Teens with Love and Logic. Okay, I barely cracked the book, but I like what I read in the back of the book. So, but again, I'm trying to get some tidbits of information that'll help me the way I want to be helped. I get my boys alone, man, and they don't talk much. And I know I think it's a common thing. The best way I get my boys to talk is I take them for long walks, and I say, we'll turn around and head back when we start talking. And so then they struggle for subjects, and then pretty soon, all of a sudden, we're talking, and it's fluid, and it's wonderful, because if I go pick up my boys' friends, as soon as they get in, man, they're yapping. They want to go swimming. They want to do, I try to get them to swim. They don't want to swim. Their buddies here, their friends are like, oh, well, a pool. And then all of a sudden the pool's the greatest thing on earth. But not when I want to go swimming. So I guess that's just part of being a parent. But anyways, really, I really want to, I'm always kind of dealing with family and time to invest. And when my kids are in school, it's easy because, all day I have to invest while they're in school. So, but of course in the evenings, I always come home, I come home. I don't usually go to the bar and have a beer or any of that stuff. I come home. And so it's mostly just because I want to hang out with my kids, my boys, because my girls are in college, so all I got is my boys at home now. So that's what, things, change. But listen, while you guys are young, or maybe you've already raised your kids and your kids are grown or are grown enough that you can dedicate some more time to, making money. Because, if you're not where you want to be, then, it's a great time to apply it. But I'll tell you, there's something about when you're young, you have so much more time and so much more energy. My dad used to talk about him he'd look at himself like a pie being cut into slices. And he says, look, son, there's only so many slices. You get this much of my time. Mama gets this much time. Everybody gets a little piece. Mostly the boss at work gets the biggest piece of his time. So that was his analogy, like getting a piece of the pie. So, and we all have our own little pie chart, that says how much we have to work, and then, what we do for hobby or what we do, etc. My hobby, fortunately, is what I do making money. I love to invest. I love looking for property. I love looking for deals, and fortunately for me, it pays. So, but it's always good to have a hobby that actually pays. So that's another thing you might consider is whatever your hobby is, maybe you can turn it into money, right? If it's your hobby and you really have a passion for it, chances are you know it better than anybody or better than most, and you can probably parlay whatever that experience is or whatever that interest is of yours. If you start thinking about it as like, hey, where's the money in this hobby? You'll figure it out. So, hey, I guess I'm going to leave it there. Let's see, is there any more questions? Yeah, B&B, books. I think we covered everything, everybody. But anyways, and also is it, we got a fair amount of people watching, it looks like. I don't know if there's a better time. Sometimes I wonder, is nighttime good? Is like 9 o'clock at night good? Or 9 to 10, because some of you East Coast, West Coast, I'm Central Time. Is there a preferred time, you think, I got a wasp nest next to me. Anyways, trying to stay cool. Is there a preferred time, you think, for doing these live streams? Anybody? Well, even if you're not live when you watch this, let me know. I kind of like doing it just when I have a thought or when I have time, and I usually have time, but I can make most times work. I've been doing some jiu-jitsu classes with my boys. Random for you, Chaz. Well, that's good. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, well, that's kind of, I think probably when I have time to relax is when probably everybody else does, which is probably Saturday mornings and probably in the evening, you know, because you're not working, obviously. So, yeah, Maurice is open 24 hours. That's good. Okay. Well, cool. I won't necessarily plan on specific times. Well, Tony likes to know ahead of time. Does anybody know how I can translate to everybody in a time in advance without having to shoot a video to tell you? That's why I kind of like the Twitter. If people are on Twitter, I can just say, hey, I'm going to fire up in an hour or, you know, later tonight, and then maybe even y'all would have better opportunities to think about, you know, whatever topic you guys want to cover, you know. And I'm not talking about just questions, you know, we're like a brain trust here, right? We can share ideas and we can think of things. And, you know, there's always somebody to give you a better idea about what you're doing. And so, man, I love hearing ideas. Anybody's got an idea, you know, I'm always quick to pick up on if I hear something that piques my interest, that, you know, or if anybody, you know, detects money out there somewhere on how to make it, you know, you share it, and then maybe a couple of us will run with that idea, and then we share that feedback, and then it'll help you pursue the same in your area. So, anyways, so I'll kill it here. Thanks for watching, guys, and you know, let's just keep working to make some money, and you know, it's fun. It's just fun building wealth. So, but yeah, if you guys aren't on my Twitter, maybe, you know, it's Flip Anything USA, you know, and then Twitter will be more of a resource where I can at least give people a heads up. So, but that's it. So I'll let you guys go, and have a great day, and we'll do it again here sometime soon. Thanks, Flip Anything USA. Bye.